Second half of the show, I have got an interesting topic. It's about the College Sports Commission and how I don't think it will hurt West Virginia at all. And I'm not sure West Virginia will even abide by it. And I'm going to explain why. Now, don't think they have to. Very interesting nugget that dropped that I don't think enough people are talking about with this new agreement where every Power Four conference team is being made basically to sign this agreement that they will abide by the new House settlement rules. And if they don't sign it, there's the threat of them being kicked out of a P4 conference. That's what's out there. So every school's likely going to sign this. But there's a catch to this. Now, first off, before I get to the catch, let me lay the groundwork for those of you who may not know what I'm talking about. Most of you probably understand about the House settlement where they're now being uh, forced to pay the student athletes part of the revenue sharing up to $20.5 million total per school is the ceiling for those who opt in, and West Virginia has opted in. And then you have NIL money on top of that, right? The schools can do, or players rather can do, athletes can do in addition to that rev share money, right? They can do outside NIL deals. As part of the settlement agreement, they've adopted a college sports commission who's going to take over basically the enforcement of the rules for this settlement. Okay, that's the 30,000-foot view, and every school is having to sign this agreement or being asked to sign this agreement that they will abide by the rules. But there's a very interesting nugget of information in this agreement that I'm going to share with you, and then we're going to talk about the West Virginia piece of it and how it may impact the Mountaineers. Okay. For those of you who are watching on television or maybe on a computer, you can probably read this. If you're watching on mobile or listening to the podcast version, you can't obviously see it. So I'm going to read it out to you. But here is what it says. It says, and this is line 26. This is just some of the language that's in this agreement. Okay. It says, and I got it highlighted, to the extent not prohibited by participants' state laws, the College Sports Commission and participant hereby agree to waive any right to a jury trial with respect to all disputes arising out of College Sports Commission enforcement action or otherwise relating to this agreement. So basically, what that's saying is the schools cannot sue the College Sports Commission for enforcing penalties or enforcing the rules. But it says in the beginning, to the extent not prohibited by participants' state laws. Here's section 27 that I'm going to read here. The first part of it, anyway, says, to the extent not prohibited by participants' state laws, again, that language again, participant, which is the school, agrees that it shall use best efforts to cause its representatives to take or cause to be taken all actions and do all things necessary, proper, or advisable to support and make effective the injunctive relief settlement, not support, advocate for, or lobby for any change in federal, state, or local law that would alter or be inconsistent with its obligation, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to read it all. But basically, what this is saying is the school cannot side with a state or any other entity in suing the College Sports Commission over the enforcement of these rules. And they can't file a lawsuit themselves. But that language that says, to the extent not prohibited by participant state laws, what's that tell you? And I reached out to someone with I said medical, legal, that has some legal expertise, and just to get their thoughts on this. Basically, what that means is it has no freaking teeth. State law overrides any entity, except what? Federal law. And as of right now, there is no federal law codifying this. That's why they're trying so hard to get the SCORE Act passed. That's why a lot of these schools are trying so hard to get the SCORE Act passed, because it would codify this and put everyone on a level playing field. But right now, if you have a state law, at least the way I interpret this, now, if I'm wrong on this, somebody tell me in the comments. But the way I read it, if you have a state law that prohibits enforcement, they can't do anything about it. What's that mean for West Virginia? Well, I'm glad you asked. Did some research about West Virginia. Okay. West Virginia, or not what it says, but what the new state laws say in the state of West Virginia. They passed NIL legislation this past session, and it was signed into law by the governor just a couple months ago. It says the West Virginia legislature passed and Governor Patrick Morrissey signed 2 key bills into law addressing name, image, and likeness rights and revenue sharing for college student athletes. Now, I do want to direct you at the end of this. I'm going to leave a link to an interview I did with a state lawmaker who talked a little bit about this. Okay. These measures, that gives the House bill numbers, were enacted to enhance competitiveness for state institutions like West Virginia University and Marshall amid evolving NCAA rules and the House settlement. Signed on September the 11th, 2025, during a ceremony at WVU's football team room, the bills aim to protect athletes from punitive NCAA enforcement while enabling structured NIL and revenue sharing opportunities. They build on the national shift toward professionalizing college sports, joining over 30 states with similar frameworks since 2021. The laws apply to public schools and any private schools who opt in. I'm going to summarize from. I'm reading this off of Grok, by the way. I asked it to just summarize it for me. But here are the key attributes of these bills. Okay, the first one, House Bill 2595, establishes or allows institutions of higher education to form a 501c3 nonprofit governed by university appointed boards, which will be primarily university employees or affiliates. These entities handle NIL negotiations, endorsements, and revenue distribution, treating them as standard business operations rather than extra benefits that could violate amateurism rules. I'm going to share that again. You ever heard of Golden Blue Enterprises? West Virginia fans? That's what this is. It's the establishment of a nonprofit institution that will handle NIL negotiations. So they're bringing it in-house. Something the College Sports Commission doesn't want you to be able to do. Okay? Endorsement deals and revenue district. Now, the rev sharing is fine. The schools can do that. But it sounds to me like West Virginia's bringing their NIL in-house. Okay? Because state law now allows them to do that through a 501c3 institution. It aligns with the House settlements allowance for schools to share up to 20.5 to 22 million annually. 22 is what it's likely going to be the next year. The nonprofits can allocate these funds directly to athletes for NIL use, including performance-based incentives, while ensuring compliance with Title IX for gender equity. Okay. Now, again, this is Grok, so this might not be verbatim, but it says universities can enter into NIL contracts for promotional activities with proceeds funneled through the nonprofit. This includes protections for boosters and NIL collectives to collaborate without NCAA scrutiny. Requires annual reporting to the West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission, so on and so forth. Student athletes aren't allowed to do NIL deals for alcohol, tobacco, drug, gambling, sexualized content. All makes sense. Now, the other House bill establishes a state-level shield against NCAA overreach, explicitly overriding federal restrictions on pay-for-play or recruitment inducements. It creates a legal framework to enforce athlete rights while imposing guardrails to prevent exploitation. Bars the NCAA, athletic conferences, or other governing bodies from investigating, penalizing, or disciplining West Virginia institutions, athletes, or affiliates for NIL activities. This includes revenue sharing or performance-tied deals, providing a recourse through state courts if violations occur, affirms athletes' right to monetize their NIL independently or via school channels without losing eligibility, They have to report anything over $600 to the state registry. Um, Athletes must avoid conflicts of interest, such as endorsing competitors of university sponsors, which makes sense. Allow schools to facilitate NIL education, matchmaking with brands, and direct compensation for jersey sales, game day promotions, etc. Overrides NCAA bans on using NIL in recruitment, enabling discussions with prospects. So basically, what this does is it tells it's telling this college sports commission, the NCAA, whoever, the Big 12, whoever you want to tell it to. West Virginia can help their student athletes make NIL deals basically and cannot get sued for doing so because the state law in the state of West Virginia will not allow them to. Now, West Virginia is not the only state with these laws. There are 31 other states that have enacted similar laws. I'm not going to read them all to you, but one notably missing is the state of Virginia. They have not apparently enacted such laws, which means it might be tougher for schools like Virginia Tech, UVA, and whatnot to recruit against West Virginia because West Virginia can say, look, man, we can do this for you, we can do this for you, we can do this for you because we have a state law allowing it. We can help you get NIL deals. And another thing that I hadn't even mentioned yet, West Virginia will not be forced to disclose, Western University or Marshall or any other public institution will not be forced to disclose their NIL deals with players or their revenue sharing deals with players because it's behind this nonprofit entity, which prevents them from releasing the information. It keeps it confidential. So the College Sports Commission can't come to WVU and say, hey, you got to share with us this information. West Virginia can be like, well, the state of West Virginia is like, nope, there's a state law that prohibits it. Can't do it. This is fascinating to me. We could see a showdown between the College Sports Commission and West Virginia or any other school in states like Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Massachusetts, New York, Oklahoma, just to name a few. I mean, that's 32 out of 50 states. How's this CSC thing going to have any teeth? It seems to me like a huge waste of time if you can only enforce it on schools in 28 states. That's most of your Power 4 schools that aren't going to be able to, you're not going to be able to enforce this on Power 4 schools in 32 of your states. So why even do it? It doesn't make any sense to me. Makes absolutely no sense to me why they would do this. It says right there in the friggin' bill or in the rules, the CSC rules. Like I read to you before. I'm going to read it again. To the extent not prohibited by participants' state laws. It makes, I don't understand. So West Virginia, now somebody tell me if maybe I'm interpreting this wrong, but it seems to me like the CSC is not going to be able to enforce these rules on WVU. But you tell me if I'm wrong. And West Virginia could use this potentially as an advantage in recruiting. Again, I'm going to leave a link to this conversation I had with the state lawmaker. He doesn't go into great detail, but he does give kind of a 30,000-foot view of what their intentions were with these bills. And, it's great to hear it directly from a state lawmaker, not just from me. West Virginia can make NIL deals or help student athletes get NIL deals. And the revenue sharing and all that, and they don't have to disclose the information. And if CSC tries to enforce the rules, then West Virginia University, or because of the state law in the state of West Virginia, they can't do anything about it because state law allows them to do it. So unless the SCORE Act is passed or one of these other acts that are out there where they're trying to, codify this thing, West Virginia has a recruiting advantage over some schools some other schools in the Power Four. Again, the state of Pennsylvania allows it. The state of Ohio allows it. But according to Grok, Virginia does not. And it might explain. Well, most states, I mean, like I said, it's 32 out of 50 states that have laws on the books. I just don't see how this College Sports Commission agreement will have any teeth. I mean, yes, all these schools can sign it, but at the end of the day, is it going to be, can it be upheld in court? I don't think it can because of these state laws. But anyway, just want to share this information with you, give you my thoughts on it. You let me know in the comment section. Am I barking up the wrong tree here? Am I misinterpreting this West Virginia bill? Uh, you know, I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Maybe someone out there listening to this who's an attorney or at least has a legal background, or maybe you're a state or a lawmaker or whatever. Let me know, hey, am I right? Am I wrong? The state of West Virginia law is going to override any attempted enforcement by the College Sports Commission. Let me know your thoughts. Also, let me know, uh, you know, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button on this video if you liked it. Don't forget to share it with your family and friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There, for those of you who don't know how to subscribe or like, right below this video, you'll see a little tiny button with it looks like a thumbs up. You can hit that. It's free, quick, takes a second. That's a like. There's another button on the right side under this video that says subscribe. It'll either be white, red, or black. Click it. Whether you're watching on television, you can click it with your mouse. If you're watching on a computer, you scroll down with, click it with your remote on television, with your mouse on a computer, or if you're watching on your mobile device, just hit it with your finger. Again, it takes 1 second. Very quick, very easy, and it's absolutely free. It just shows YouTube that you want to subscribe to my channel and you want to see more of my content come through your feed on YouTube. So I ask that you do that, please. Also want to give you, there are opportunities you can support me financially. I have a merch store where you can get yourself a hoodie, get ready for the cold weather. You can get yourself a trucker cap with my logo on it. Also have a West Virginia versus the world design that you can check out over at the fourth merch store I have over at Fourth Wall. You can, right below, you can see pictures of some of the merch. Click on one of those. It'll take you right to my merch store. There's also a link in the description box of the video. You can become a VIP channel member, which is a $4.99 or $2.99 a month donation. It gives you some special perks. Those are all explained when you hit the join button below or the join button over at my channel homepage. I really appreciate you tuning into this episode. If you're listening on podcast, please follow me on podcast, on your favorite podcast. Will it be Spotify, Apple, whatever, your favorite podcast app or whatever the case may be. Please give me a 5-star rating. I would really appreciate that. Hope the rest of your day's top shelf. God bless you, and Q Country Roads.